Hey guys, Jin here with the Otakuology podcast, and my co-host Mike, and our guest today, ChaiBee.
Yes. What's up?
Okay, awesome. Mike asked me for the show. He goes, "How do you say it? Do you say it like chia?" And I was like, "Not chia pet. I think it's chai, like coffee.
I
Chai
mean,
bee."
that's what I was thinking of, was a chia pet at the time.
Yeah, if you want to get technical, it's ChaiBee, but
Oh.
I get chai a lot just because it's CHAI, but
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
it's cool either way.
So, let me pull my notepad out. I'm so unprofessional.
It's all good.
Okay. So, first off, for everybody listening and all that, if you have seen the picture of me and Mike with the microphone in between us and the green background, so Chai actually drew that. So, I was super excited to even get the opportunity to ask her if we could have that. So,
How long did it take you to do that picture?
Let me see. I can actually find out right now on my iPad, but probably not too long. I usually can do that stuff within an hour or less.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
that was actually one of my questions. Is how long does it usually take you to hammer out a commission or whatever?
I'm actually, I guess, in terms of artists in general, I'm a pretty quick artist. I've definitely honed my craft, and my style is very dynamic and lots of fluidity. So I've definitely learned to draw really fast. And I used to work mostly traditional with inks and stuff, and then you can't really undo any of that. So
yes.
so learning how to do it in one stroke and make it look good is definitely a skill, and it made it even faster in digital art.
Okay, so you do mostly digital art nowadays?
Yes.
You said, oh, that's cool. Oh, because I actually was going through your profile. When did you actually start getting into art?
Let's see. When I was really, really young, I was exposed to cartoons and stuff. The first show I ever watched was the Powerpuff Girls.
Oh, yeah.
And it was definitely had an impact on what I liked. I never really was interested in live action stuff or Full House or anything when it was on TV. I always was drawn to cartoons, and even in drawing, I always tried to emulate cartoon drawings. And from then on out, I was always interested in drawing. And in high school and stuff, I was like, oh, I gotta do a practical career like political science or whatever. But eventually I was like, no, art's my forte and I'm really good at it, so I should practice and get even better.
So did you actually went to school for art?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, where did you go?
I went to Cal State Fullerton. I started I started in community college because my family in high school was like, yeah, so we can't afford college. And I was like, well, that sucks. But I went to community college and I worked part-time and I saved up my money. And then when it was time to transfer, my family had a little bit more money, so they helped me go to state school. And at Cal State Fullerton, the animation program is pretty decent. And I think the best part about the school is we have an animation club called Pencil Mileage Club. And that's what the school is known for. Within the animation industry, alumni will be like, oh, you were in PMC and all of that. Awesome. Cal State Fullerton is kind of an underdog in terms of the animation industry, because everyone goes to Cal Arts or Art Center, and those are fantastic schools, but they're really expensive. So people who have less money tend to go to the Cal States and are still able to do really amazing things.
Yeah, I went to school for art as well, and I went when I studied all the traditional art and stuff like that. And when I got into the more digital aspect of it, I could never actually figure it out. I always had a hard time with digital art.
It's pretty tricky, not gonna lie. I remember when I started, I have never been good at like the tablets where it's
Hmm.
got no screen, or there is no screen, excuse me,
Hmm.
because I have really bad hand-eye coordination.
Hmm.
um, but my parents pitched in and bought me a tablet that I could draw directly on. It was really off-brand and cheap, and there was many
Hmm.
software issues with it, but it was a good starter. Um, and then I kind of graduated to the iPad, and it's definitely like being someone who mostly did traditional art
Hmm.
before the iPad. Like the translation from traditional to digital is much easier. So if
Yeah.
you ever get your hands on an iPad and Procreate, that's a great tool.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
Awesome. Well, so I have one since you mentioned you liking the Powerpuff Girls and whatnot.
Yeah.
Um, actually, like, what were some of your favorite cartoons besides Powerpuff Girls that influenced you to be an artist and everything?
Yeah, well, I guess branching out of Powerpuff Girls, Gendy Tarkovsky and Craig McCracken were both
Hmm.
pioneers within Cartoon Network,
Yeah.
and I was really into all of their work. Like, I really liked Dexter's Laboratory and Foster's. Those shows just always stood out to me without
Hmm.
really knowing that they were by the same people.
Hmm.
And growing up, I kept coming back to those shows. And I also liked Nickelodeon cartoons like SpongeBob, and Avatar was a massive influence on me.
Oh, really?
Mm.
Cause, yeah, because at the
Yeah.
time I was like, I really liked cartoons, and I liked how fun and silly they were. And I would think I
Hmm.
was like 7 or 8 when Avatar came out, and
Okay.
I was like, I wish there was more like detailed cartoons or cartoons with like really interesting stories. And then when I watched Avatar, I was like, kids' cartoons can be this deep. This is so cool. I was super into it. And then I discovered anime, and I was
Uh-huh.
like, cartoons can be this crazy. This is so cool. Um, and, as time has gone on, there's been a mix of like Western and Eastern
Uh-huh.
art
Yeah.
together. So,
What
yeah.
was the first anime that got you into anime?
Technically, I guess it was Pokemon, but
Okay.
like, I'm not necessarily a huge Pokemon fan
Uh-huh.
now. I was when I was a kid,
Okay.
but I think I was really into magical girl anime, like Shugo Chara and Cardcaptor Sakura, a little bit of Sailor Moon.
Hmm.
Um, my mom was super into like Sailor Moon and like those kinds of things. So
Hmm.
I think she
Oh,
kind of passed
so
on the anime gene to me.
your mom actually liked anime and stuff? That's funny.
It's even crazier too. She some of her favorites have come from like Gainax, like Fooly
Okay.
Cooly,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and Trigger is my favorite anime studio.
Uh-huh.
And the people from Trigger are the alumni from Gainax that went on to create the studio.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of funny.
That's
That's
cool.
cool. It's cool that you mentioned magical girls because I actually recently read the comic that you started creating. I guess the
Hmm.
Miss Witch.
Yeah,
Can you talk about that a little bit about the creative process of that? So
sure.
I only got to read the first chapter and I was very interested in it.
Oh, thanks. That means a
Yeah.
lot. Miss Witch is one of my many characters that I hold near and dear to my heart. And for a long time, I was trying to figure out how I wanted to tell her story, because comics are definitely a process and difficult
Hmm.
to make. And I also write, like, I write stories and stuff.
Hmm.
But I was like, how do I get this like out there without just creating a bunch of art and just letting people assume what the story is?
Yeah.
So in my last semester of college, I took like a portfolio class where we could work on anything we wanted to.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And technically, I'm a character designer, but I have a ton of work in my portfolio. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to take a leap, and I'm just going to make the first chapter of my character story. And so I worked with my classmates to help me get critique and all of that.
Hmm.
And to my surprise, it came to me naturally. My professor
Yeah.
was like, have you made comics before? And I was like, no. And he's like, this is really, really good for someone who's never made a comic. And I was like,
Hmm.
okay, well, maybe this is something I can actually do. So I definitely want to develop her story more.
Hmm.
But as a short summary, Miss Witch is a witch who has amnesia. She doesn't know where she's from or what happened to her, but she one day arrives in Ever Autumn and
Hmm.
is trying to discover her destiny and what she is meant for.
Yeah, I read it recently, and I was very surprised on how much story or backstory, I guess you could say, you kind of packed into that first chapter, and you didn't necessarily like tell it through dialogue. It was more shown through like the comics itself. Like I had to figure out like, oh, she was like she went. Did she go to which school exactly, or she got declined from it?
Yeah, she wanted to go to school at like New Coven Academy. It's a
Hmm.
witch school that everyone goes to learn to be a good witch and hone their craft. And she applied and got rejected, and
Hmm.
she doesn't know why. She thinks like she's kind of good at magic and she wants to learn, so she doesn't know why she was rejected. So she's trying to find other ways to practice magic, and yeah.
Hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah, it. I don't know. It just I really liked it. Like I liked all the character designs and all the like the little like characters like the skeleton guy and the
Hmm.
werewolf who worked at I guess like a tavern or something.
Hmm.
And like I was like, oh, these characters are really cool, just very unique, I guess you could say. In my opinion, I thought they were unique. I loved the art style. It felt it reminded me of oh god, I can't remember what her name was. It was a specific artist. She's a comic book artist. I can't remember what her name was off the top of my head, but it reminded me of that, and I really enjoyed it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Think about it, Mike. What is it?
I think her name was like oh shit, I can't remember. She did the Adventure Zone comics. If you know what the Adventure Zone is, she did those comics. But I don't remember what her name was. But that's what it reminded me of.
It's a good thing we all have the internet.
Yeah.
Let's see. Type, fingers, type.
Oh yeah, I haven't read this comic, but I've seen like it around. That's so
Yeah.
cool.
It's a fun comic. That's what it reminded me of because that her art style reminded me of that.
Oh yeah, I see it. Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool. That's a compliment. Thank you. That's
Yeah.
so cool.
You're gonna be like, I kind of draw a little bit like da 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 da. Thanks.
So,
So,
oh,
so
good.
one
Sorry.
of my other questions with that was,
Mhm.
since you do focus a lot on art and you kind of have like a side for doing cosplay and whatnot, have you ever thought about maybe like getting like a friend or a partner in crime um, that is like more of a heavily like writer type of person um, that can kind of pull out your characters and stuff and have you basically do the art and have freedoms for both sides with it?
It's really interesting. I have the issue where I love working with people and I really, really want to collaborate with folk. But I think with my generation of artists, everyone has their own projects that they want to work on
Hmm.
or their own groups of friends. And it's not to say that I don't have friends, but I think my projects are so ambitious and like wide scoping that a lot of people are afraid to work on my projects with me.
Oh.
Um, just because I have a huge idea of like what my story is going to be. But that being said, I have a lot of friends who have volunteered to work alongside me on my stuff. So in
Hmm.
terms of writing, I'd probably be the one doing most of that, and they would be taking on my artwork. So, and that's kind of what like an art director does in general. Is
Right.
they're like, here's the concept. I'm in charge of this story, here's the artwork, replicate the artwork, and make this part of it. And then they return the artwork to you and you make the corrections because it's your style, and then you return it back to them. Um, so I would like to do something with some friends at some point, but I think, not to like beef myself up or whatever, but a lot of people have called me an artistic powerhouse, and I
Oh.
definitely feel that way. I feel like I can really bust out artwork and story at a really fast pace. So I
Yeah.
just have to sit down and do it.
So on your bio, you mentioned that you interned at Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
What process what process did you have to go to actually get an internship at Cartoon Network?
Yeah, so in terms of the animation industry, it's all about who you know and all of
Mm-hmm.
that. And, you know, I come from San Diego. I
Mm-hmm.
never grew up in Orange County or LA. I don't have friends and family who are in the animation industry. I just went to school for it. And I think, in a way, I kind of got lucky. Um, when I applied for, there's different kinds of positions for interns. There's like talent development,
Mm-hmm.
production intern, like VR and games and other stuff. I
Mm-hmm.
applied for talent development and production, and I ended up getting talent development. Um, so, what a lot of people don't know about internships at bigger companies like Disney, Nickelodeon, Cartoon
Mm-hmm.
Network is the internships are not creative necessarily.
Oh, okay.
You're in the room with the people making the show and the product, and you're learning about the process. It's more educational than it is work.
Uh-huh.
It's definitely changed. I remember my supervisor was telling me that when she was an intern ages ago, that she had to run around and do all these things that were
Oh.
really uncool, like go
Uh,
get coffee, go copy all these
Oh
papers.
no.
But being an intern today is like kind of like a college experience.
mm-hmm.
It's like we're gonna have the director of this show come in and tell you guys what they do, and it was a really awesome experience, very educational. But in terms of the process overall, I would say I got lucky, but I have definitely practiced like my like work ethic and interview skills and all of
Uh-huh.
that, and that lended well to getting the internship.
So what exactly did you do while you were there? Did you get to sit in any like creative meetings with any specific like show or anything like that?
Because I was in talent development, I didn't get to sit in on creative meetings. Production
Mm-hmm.
interns get to do that, but talent
Okay.
development is like the people who handle like internal creative stuff
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
and outreach and recruitment. So,
Oh, okay.
in a way, I actually got to do more than production interns. So, I got to like go to each of the shows and like hand off special documents or things and talk to people from all of the different shows. So I wasn't
Oh,
limited to
cool.
just one. Yeah. Um, and uh, I think I think I can say this. I remember I was given an envelope. It was one of the first things I did the first like days I was there, and my supervisor was like, "Shy, I need you to go to give this to the mail office." And I was
Uh-huh.
like, "Okay." And it like I could feel it was like a disc in an envelope
Mm-hmm.
or like a thumb drive or something. I can't remember which one it was. But I was walking, and as I was walking to the mail like department at the studio, I like flipped over the envelope, and it said it was like the Oscar nomination for Genndy Tarkovsky's Primal.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, I hope I don't get mugged or something on my way to the.
Oh man.
But
Right.
like, yeah. So each studio and production, whatever, sends in their like sample of what they want the film critics to review when it goes up for nomination, and I was like, oh, it's in my hands, and I have
It's
to
all
hand it
on
off.
you.
Yeah.
It's all on you. Be like,
Um,
this is such a big weight on my shoulders right now.
yeah. She's like, yeah, just go put this in the mailbox or go to the post. And I was like, okay. And I was like,
So how long
but
were
Right.
you there for exactly, or interned there?
yeah, I was there for a semester, so about three
Okay.
months.
Okay.
Um, but it was really great because my supervisors knew that I wanted to be an artist and do art,
Uh-huh.
so they this is pretty rare, but I was able to do art while I was working there. They gave
Oh.
me like uh, I got to design some flyers for like some gallery shows and do some other creative stuff. And there was like a big Halloween party,
Uh-huh.
and I got to like design the little gift bags. Yeah, it was really cool.
That's awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is there any other like uh company besides like Cartoon Network you'd like to try and either go intern at or work at for a little while?
Um, I'm honestly open to all of them. They all have different cultures. Cartoon
Hmm.
Network is always known as like the cool kids studio, and that
Oh
I would
yeah.
say that's definitely true. A lot of like really quote unquote cool people work there, and that's the vibe. I would say that like the vibe you get from the shows definitely comes through in the studio. Nickelodeon is a very goofy environment, so it would be really fun to work there. Here it's really fun to work at Nick. And DreamWorks is very creative because between their TV shows and feature, they've got a pretty wide expanse in terms of variety.
Hmm.
So, and I've always heard great things about working at DreamWorks. So I think, yeah, any of those major studios. I know everyone is always like, "Oh, I want to work for Disney," but it's never really been my like, "Oh yeah, I
Right.
gotta work for Disney." It's just like, Disney's cool, but
Right. Wait, do you have Disney Plus or anything like that?
I share with my roommates. Yeah.
Okay. So, like they have that whole little part where they do the Imagineering process where they go
Oh yeah.
behind the scenes and tell you about it.
Hmm.
And so, like I watched that. I think me and Mike watched it about the same time. And one of the questions that was always in my head with that is like I kind of want to know that process before these other companies and stuff like that. So I thought it would be cool like, hey, what's a day on the quote unquote set of Gravity Falls look like, or um, Etta and Eddie, or something like old school like that, maybe.
Yeah.
Just kind of all these different ones.
Yeah, no, I agree. I wish they would show off more of that stuff internally. I think as like social media has gotten bigger, it's been really hard to like keep things under wraps. Like things get leaked like just
Hmm.
through the grapevine. It's kind of crazy. Cartoon Network is very like they don't allow studio tours. They're very secretive about their projects and work. Um, but it's kind of funny. I think there was like a banner for like an upcoming show like in the lobby of Cartoon Network. So I was like, okay, like so much for secrecy. But
Right.
Disney is also super like quiet. Disney used to have like some really strict rules when it came to like posting on social media. Like most Nick and Cartoon Network artists can like kind of show what they're working on, like
Hmm.
vaguely, but Disney was like super quiet about everything. But nowadays, I'm seeing a lot of Disney artists post their work, so I guess it's not a thing anymore. But
Hmm.
yeah, I would love to see more of the process of stuff. I think the funniest part is like a lot of animation, especially for TV, gets shipped, which means it gets sent to Korea to get animated.
Hmm.
So in terms of like the actual production process, like we we being the animation industry, like we write, storyboard, and design the characters, and then the storyboards get sent to Korea, our animation studio in Korea, and then they make the animation and gets sent back. And then we do have animators that like edit and correct
Hmm.
things, so there's still a hands-on in the process. And the animators in Korea do an amazing job all the time. They're really, really good at what they do.
So why exactly does it get sent overseas to like Korea and stuff like that?
Honestly, I think it's just because it's cheaper. Um, but I think I don't really know specifically. I think it is might be just because it's cheaper, but
Okay.
also there's different cultures when it comes to animation.
Uh huh.
Like the way animation is done in the U.S. is heavily based on like how Disney formatted
Hmm.
animation for the West,
Hmm.
but in Japan and in Asian countries they animate differently. And there's overlap, of course, but there's just difference in all of that. Like in anime, they put a lot of focus on the action sequences or really detailed parts,
Hmm.
and then the characters talking are usually static.
Hmm.
But in Western animation, they really, really prize like the mundane and like the little moments where the character is like acting very fluidly, even though they're just talking to someone. Like,
Hmm.
if you put on 101 Dalmatians, when the adult characters just talk, there's a lot of movement and they're just communicating
Yeah.
basic things. But when you watch like My Hero Academia, Deku will just be standing there and his mouth will be moving, and the next second he's throwing like the most detailed punch you've ever seen in your life. So
Right.
in Korea, they're one of the nations that focus more on like animation in terms
Hmm.
of like artistry. So and they've got a little bit of like a Western influence as well. So I don't know the studio's name, but yeah, it does get shipped out to be worked on. But there are plenty of American quote unquote shows that are completely made in the US or
Hmm.
have a lot of, um, yeah.
Because I remember hearing
Right.
vaguely, like with like the original Batman the animated series, how it would get shipped to like Japan,
Hmm.
and like Japanese companies would work on it as well. They would get it back, and like
Yeah.
I guess work on it. I don't know exactly what they did, But I remember hearing about that stuff. I always thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. And I think it's kind of ironic too because like this isn't really a thing anymore, but like when I started going into college, like a lot of animation people would be like, "Oh, anime is like not as cool because it's not the same type of animation as us."
Hmm.
And then when I learned that like old school TV shows got sent to Japan and Korea to be animated, I'm like, "So what are they, what?
Yeah,
So what's the point here?
Right.
yeah.
What's with the high money?"
I remember hearing like one studio went bankrupt because they spent so much time and effort on the Batman TV show. They
Yeah.
spent so much money on it, they ended up going bankrupt, which is sad to hear.
Yeah, it's not uncommon for big studios to hire on little studios and
Hmm.
then or like acquire them, and then once the project's done to just kind of you know let the
Yeah,
studio go, like
yeah,
just let it evaporate, which I think is real crappy, but it
Right.
is the industry and how it works.
Yeah, I mean, because they kind of did that. I was really big into Disney Infinity when it came out,
Hmm.
and I know that they kind of had to do that with that company because they had a whole warehouse like dedicated to it, and they actually had to dissolve it because it wasn't doing quite as well as they thought that it was going to.
Hmm.
And I know that a bunch of it was they were trying to move like some of their people out and actually give the positions back to them doing other jobs and whatnot, but they still had to let some of the people go because it was like we hired all these people to do all this stuff and we don't have jobs for them.
Yeah,
So
I
yeah.
I've done. I'm really big. Like I love video games. I'm a video game nerd, but I don't get to play them that often because I'm drawing so damn much.
hmm hmm
But I have done a lot of research on like Disney's methods of like acquiring smaller video game companies,
hmm
giving them a project, and then just like letting them go. Um, and it's really sad because it's like you have these studios that are like up and coming, and then like who would say no to a contract with Disney? Like you get
Yeah,
acquired by the Disney, and you get to work on one of their games, and then they don't give you financial support anymore, and you put all of your assets and time into this project, and then they're like, all right, well, dissolved.
Right. So yeah, that's just a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
Let's see. Have you ever done a piece of art for somebody that was used for a tattoo?
I've been asked a handful of times to design tattoos, and if I'm being honest, I really love tattoos. I think they're super, super cool. And I used to have this idea of like, what if I was a tattoo artist that never had any tattoos? But I have talked to a handful of tattoo artists, and they are really, really picky about being able to design their own tattoos that they put
hmm
on their own clients. So I think like if someone was like, I really like your character, Miss Witch, and I want to get a tattoo of her, I think that would be fine because it's my character and they want it to look like my art.
hmm
Um,
Hmm.
but like an original tattoo, I just after a few conversations with tattoo artists, they're very particular about being able to design their own tattoos.
Yeah, that's what I hear. A lot of them like to promote on like Instagram and stuff like that, and
Mm-hmm.
they're really big on original designs
Mm-hmm.
to show off like what they can actually do instead of
Yeah.
copying something.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
There are definitely artists out there who just are totally cool with it. All tattoo artists are very, very different.
Hmm.
I have a friend who does tattoo art, and she's an apprentice right now. Her name is Park, and she is really, really good at what she does, and she does like really like cute designs and like
Hmm.
minimalist stuff. But like there are tattoo artists who do some really detailed, crazy pieces. So
Hmm.
there's quite a variety.
So I was going through your Instagram, and it seems like you really like the cosplay
Mhm.
as well. How did you get into that, and what are some of the characters that you like to cosplay as?
So when I was coming from San Diego, we frequented Comic Con quite a
Uh-huh.
bit, especially
Hmm.
because my dad was in the 501st, which
Oh,
is
really?
yeah,
Oh, cool.
yeah. He mostly troops as a stormtrooper, but later in his life he likes being sand trooper. But
Okay.
he's working on a Boba Fett right now.
Ooh.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys know who this is or what this is, but my dad is Trooper Bay. He specializes in like supplying like really specific items that you need for like building stormtrooper armor and other Star Wars costumes. Like
Mm-hmm.
just really specific stuff, like the little chain that's like screen accurate to like a certain character. He's got it in his shop.
Oh, wow.
And
Cool.
That's hilarious.
yeah, and I worked in my dad's shop between like high school and early college. But anyway, we went to Comic Con a lot as a kid, and or as when I was a kid, and I got to see people cosplay and dress up all the time, and I was always around those people and my dad. And I even got to meet Lauren Faust and Craig
Oh,
McCracken.
wow. Really?
Yeah, I have a
Oh.
picture with Lauren, it's just kind of cool looking back at it. But anyway, um, I think the first time I was really getting into cosplay was like I wanted to be Sally from Nightmare Before Christmas, and I had my
Uh-huh.
mom make the costume, and I was super super picky about the accuracy of like how the dress looked. And I was like really obsessive with like the makeup and making sure the stitches were right on my face. And then I kind of graduated on to I discovered a character called Hatsune Miku,
Oh,
Hmm.
yes. Yeah.
um, and back when like Japan and like Nico Nico Doga was just kind of like an enigma, like just
Hmm.
Japanese media is just kind of a mystery online,
Uh-huh.
and like you don't really know what you're clicking or looking at. But I'm like, this is cool. I like this. Um, I discovered, what her name was in English, and then I was like, yeah, I want to dress up as this character, and so I did. And then I was like, this is fun. I like this. And so I started working on my own cosplays. And I think the first handmade cosplay I made was Yang from Ruby.
Hmm.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and I had my sister cosplay Ruby.
Uh-huh.
It was really fun. And from then on, I've done a lot of Miku cosplays.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, she's my favorite character. Um, but I've cosplayed Eliza from Skullgirls and Miraculous Ladybug, series of the same name. Um, and yeah, I like to make my cosplays and buy them. I'm not
Okay.
Hmm.
the type of person who's like you have to make all your cosplays for it to be good. Like if it costs more to make it than it's worth, like just buy it. Just buy it and modify it. Um,
Right.
Obviously, if you're competing, you should probably make it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But I wear cosplay because I think it's fun,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah.
What's the longest costume that it's taking you to make?
I think it's between Miku Append and Samurai Girl. Both Hatsune Miku cosplays.
Oh.
Samurai Girl, there was a lot of different materials, and that was definitely a learning curve because I was sewing a kimono esque thing that was all like highly, highly detailed with all these flowers. So I like hand painted these flowers and sewed them to the costume. And then she has like this like a dragon skeleton arm, but it's like very thin. So I had to make it out of like thin pieces of foam and figure
Hmm.
out how to put it together. Um, Miko Append was really hard to make because I wanted the costume to be easy to move in, and it's like at its like it looks simple, but it's like
Mm-hmm.
complicated. I don't know how to describe it, but I just wanted to be able to wear the costume with like ease. And engineering a cosplay to be comfortable is one of the hardest things to do. But I did it, and I think it looks great, and it stands the test of time. It's the easiest costume I have. Like it's the easiest to wear.
Cool. Oh, I'm actually trying to look for it. Is it on your Instagram?
I think so. Let me double check. I also have a cosplay focused Instagram, ChaiBee
Oh, okay.
Cosplay, if that helps.
Let me go look see if I can find that. Anyways, continue, Jen. What's your
I'm
next
trying to
question?
think because I think I'm subscribed to both.
I think
I
it's been
don't
a long
know.
time since I've posted cosplay because it's been quarantine and I've just been doing art.
Hmm.
But
I usually like if I'm on Instagram and I see one person like for you that you do art and you do cosplay, and then if you had one that was like just your life, I'll try and follow all three because I know that's good support for somebody, and you kind of get to know, okay, well, maybe they had a bad day here, and I've always been the person because I collect a lot of manga that I always want to I want to see what the person's mindset was whenever they were writing this particular part of the story or anything like that. And so it's kind of a crossover for me like, oh, well, you kind of had this bad day here, maybe, you know, somebody said that your art was crappy or whatever, and over here on the other side, you're like, I'm positive I'm gonna do better because of, and then you might put out like all these pictures of that or something like that.
mhm.
So I just
Yeah,
kind of like to do that and and see somebody's wide range of things that go on in their life.
yeah. No, that's, yeah, for sure. I think that's a great thing to do.
Mm,
I'm pretty honest about myself. I'm not really the type of person who like tries to put up a facade on social media. I
Hmm.
think
mhm,
over time I've learned like there are things like you just don't need to share, but you can be honest about things going on in your life. And I usually have been. I think I'm the most vocal on Twitter. I'll talk about like things I'm going through. But I always try to like remember that I'm not supposed to be quote unquote a role model, but at the same time, I do take pride in being honest about my experiences through art. So, I think some people will look at my art and be like, wow, she probably makes a ton of money and she's got all this work and she's
Hmm.
super secretive about everything. But in honesty, I'll be like, I didn't sell this thing, but that's okay. I'm gonna try
Yeah.
harder next time. Or like, I'll be like, my job that I tried to get didn't work out. They picked someone else, but that's all right. That's cool. I'm
mhm.
gonna try to do something else.
I just found the cosplay. It looks really good.
Thank you.
I like the is it the armor on the side of the arm and the I like the color of the kimono. It looks really nice.
Thank you.
The It pops really well, like the red and the purple.
You trying to say that we're gonna have to get some tips later on?
No, I was just saying it just looks really nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
I told Mike maybe like a month ago. I was like, I kind of want to get into cosplay. I was like, I don't ever see people because me and Mike, I'm like 6'2", and
Mhm.
Mike is a little under my height, and I was like, Mike, I don't ever see like a lot of people playing big guys, and I was like, I really want to see people play like more of the characters that I could relate to, like the teacher's husband in Full Metal Alchemist, or
Mm.
Iskandar from he's also a writer in one of the Fate Stay series,
Oh yeah.
and I was like, I see people do them, but then it's like these like buff muscular guys, and you're like, but they're not even close to the same height, and they're not, so
Yeah. No,
that's
I
what
got you.
I was telling him. I was like, so, and I know that's going to be like a completely crazy process if I ever get into it full hard.
Yeah, no, well, I think you should go for it. I think seeing all kinds of different body types represented in cosplay is super important. Um, it's funny you say that because I guess I was always insecure about my
Hmm.
body type. I don't necessarily have a specific body type, but I have like bigger arms and shoulders. I guess from most girls, like I'm not like super like skinny.
Uh huh.
Hmm.
I was in color guard in high school, and I have worked out since then. And so like I think on my Miku Pen costume, I was working out and I had to like put in like a like elastic on the armband on the inner part because my bicep kept getting bigger.
Oh
And
man,
my cosplay friends started calling me Swole Bee instead of Swole. It was really funny.
Swolby. It's
but
hilarious.
but yeah, I definitely think it's really cool to see like I always I don't know, it makes me really happy when I see someone super super like skinny and frail cosplaying like Solid Snake from Metal Gear Solid, because I know that they're just having fun and they're
Yeah.
enjoying being the character.
Yeah. See that, and that's one of the other things that I enjoy about cosplay is I like to see whenever you have more like males, and then they take a female character and they
Mm-hmm.
make it more male esque, and
Mm-hmm.
then vice versa. I mean, when I see that, like if there's a girl that plays like a Solid Snake, you're like, they need to have a character or a video game come out with that character right there. That's what they need. Um, or like if people do like a crossover, I think one of the coolest ones that I've seen is like um, Tron and Spider Man, and so you get
Yeah,
like this Spider Tron. So I like the fusion of like some characters where people put them together, or somebody else had a Jack Skellington and a Beetlejuice, and they fused them together, and it was like,
that's super cool.
how did you get that? Like, idea right there. Okay, I like it, but
Yeah.
you had to find the people that actually want to be a little goofy and be like, hey, this is what we're trying today. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, for sure. Which one of you said that you wanted to be Iskandar from Fate? Or you thought it would be cool?
Oh, that was Jen.
Oh, Jin.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike's not really into cosplay, but I think Mike
I
could
mean,
pull off a
I
better
like to I
Iskandar than
like to
I.
look. I'm always impressed how people can make cosplay, and they put the time into it,
I'd
and
have to dumb
people
down
are
my.
always. I feel like they're always so more creative than I am. I just don't have the time to do it.
That's totally fair. It
Yeah.
does, like, I love cosplay, but obviously I'm very focused on like art and my
Hmm.
career, and like even with that, like I don't understand how people can bust out so many cosplays so fast. Like
Right.
I've spent a lot of time practicing and sewing and stuff, but I still I'm like I don't. You guys are on another level. Like I can't.
Does cosplay ever like get in the way of your art sometimes, or do you make sure that you put your art first priority over all of it?
Yeah, I my art's always been my priority. It's both my hobby and my job, and I know
Hmm.
that like that's kind of a dangerous thing to balance, but I think I found a good balance to it. Like, I tend to monetize my characters as I develop them further, but there will
Hmm.
always be a part of them that are just solely for me. So, if my characters get sold or bought into a show or whatever, they're still a part of it for me. But in terms of like cosplay and art, I think I try not to let it get in the way, mostly because like if I'm frustrated with cosplay, I'll just take a break, stop working on it,
Hmm.
do other
Hmm.
things. Um, but I think there are parts of cosplay that I really enjoy, like obviously wearing the finished product. I really like the detail work. I'm not a fan of sewing, but I do it anyway because it's part of making it. Um, I do like prop making and seeing it come together. Uh, but yeah, I would say like whenever I'm getting tired of cosplay, I just don't work on it for a while. But I
Hmm.
always feel inspired to like dress up when I can.
Do you ever feel like you would cosplay like Miss Witch or any of your other characters?
Yeah, I actually have cosplayed Miss Witch. Miss Witch actually originated as a Halloween costume, and
Okay.
I thought it was cute. And I was like, I kind of want to make like a character out of this. And Miss Witch came about from like um, I really was inspired by Scary Godmother. I don't know if you guys know what that is.
Yes.
I
Um,
don't know what that is. I
What?
don't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
We can't be friends anymore.
I mean,
That's like
we.
that's like almost one of my favorite go-to like little Halloween shows.
I mean, when you told me you didn't like the Mighty Ducks, I almost dropped you as a friend. Just saying.
Whoa, whoa! Not the live action stuff. Not the
It's,
live action stuff. I prefer the actual ducks that are you know.
okay, weirdo.
Yeah, let's see. What was the question again?
And it's really good because you have one part in it, Mike, when you're watching it,
No,
and
no.
there's a
She asked you a question. She asked you what was
Oh,
the
I you're
question.
good. You're good. I remembered the question as I like had
okay.
like blank.
I was just
Um,
thinking of the dog part because I like that's helped me out so many times. There's a werewolf in it, Mike, and they go, "How do you shut a werewolf up?" You take 2 graham crackers and slather peanut butter in between it. You stick it in their mouth, and I was like, I tried it like that day, and I was like, this is a godsend. I'm so glad that I watched that
I
because
don't
I
even.
have one dog that's just And I was like, I need you to shut up like 5 minutes, please.
Wait, I don't even know what we're talking about. I'm so lost.
In the show,
What show?
the
Mighty
crap.
Ducks.
No,
Oh,
no, the Halloween one.
Scary Godmother. Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
okay,
The
okay.
werewolf. Yeah.
And he's an
Sorry.
actor. He's an actor.
Yes. Uh, yeah. So I'm definitely very inspired by Scary Godmother. I would love to cosplay more of my characters.
Hmm. That's cool. Cause
Yeah.
I like your character with the big blue mohawk.
Oh, is that? Let's see. Is he the super muscular one?
Yeah, and he's in like the triangle on your store. I've seen him in the stickers.
Oh yeah, he is a character from Promare, which is a anime movie that I really like.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Well,
I draw a
I
lot of fan
mean,
art of him.
I've never like seen him anywhere before, and then I saw that one, and I was like, "That's
Really?
awesome! I want that."
He's like everywhere. How have you not seen him?
Maybe I'm sheltered. Who
Okay.
knows? Um, so besides cosplay and art, do you have any other hobbies outside of kind of all that stuff that you do?
I let's see. Everything I like to do is pretty creative. I love dancing. I love
Oh.
performing.
Hmm.
I would love to join like a dance team or like an idol group, but
Hmm.
I don't know. Like a lot of stuff in California is pretty clicky, and every time I try to like join or something, they're like, sorry. And I'm like, okay. But it's hard because like art takes up so much of my time,
Hmm.
and I thoroughly enjoy it. But in terms of other hobbies, I do like experimenting with small projects. I'm quite a fan. I'm not necessarily good at it, but I think graphic design is really, really cool.
Hmm.
I love like watching like the process behind that and doing research. I'm a historical nut. I love
Hmm.
like doing history researches or like watching really long documentaries about like historical things and
Oh man,
cultures.
we would be like the best friends.
Yeah, it's so cool. I love implementing like culture and historical stuff into my art as well, just because everything comes from something. So, like, if there's a character with a
Hmm.
Victorian outfit, I'm like, how could I like draw this character to look slightly more accurate to like historical fiction?
Yeah.
I think I guess I don't know if you'd call it a hobby, but like I really like different kinds of fashion. Like I don't
Hmm.
really fall into any specific category, but I like Harajuku and kawaii fashion.
Hmm.
But I also like punk fashion. My hair is pink and blue, um, and I like Regency era fashion. Like I will wear
Hmm.
a puffy shirt and like leather pants on any day for fun. Do I look like a pirate? Yes. But you know what? I'm having a good time.
Right, and that's really all that matters.
Yeah.
There's some times where I have to tell Mike, I'm like, how do I seem? Because I'm a straight guy and everything, and I'm like, how would it seem if I wanted to dress up one time like the long-haired guy off of, oh my god, I'm not gonna remember the show.
Castlevania?
No, it's the five gay guys that go around and they like improve
Oh.
people.
Oh,
Queer Eye,
Queer
Queer
Eye. Yeah,
Eye.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, I love that guy because he's just so like free, and you'll see him wear like this bright green shirt one time, and
Mhm.
like striped black and white pants, and you're like, you have to love it. And at some point
Mhm.
he'll like throw a kimono on, and it's like none of that really goes together, but I love it.
Yeah.
Just kind of being able to put on whatever you want and not have to really have to worry about any of it, and just be like, hey, this is what I dressed up as today.
Yeah, I think it's quote unquote becoming more socially acceptable to just wear whatever you want.
Hmm.
And I kind of have a biased lens, mostly because I'm surrounded by artists all the time. So I see guys wearing skirts and like heeled boots, and they're straight or not aligning towards anything. I
Hmm.
know people who are non-binary and they don't look like they're any specific gender. And I also know people that dress quote unquote normal but have very specific identities and tastes. So I think
Mhm.
if you're experimenting and having fun, I think a good way to try it out is like wear the outfit at home like all day and just be feeling yourself. Just enjoy wearing what you like.
Right. So I have another cosplay question for you.
Go for it.
Um, and I was reading one of the other interviews where it said that you kind of uh, get by on your commission work solely, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So have you ever thought about um, maybe doing like prints of your cosplays or anything to sell as well, besides like the art pieces that you do?
Yeah, I actually do have some cosplay prints. I've been taking, it's been a minute since I updated my store with my old stuff. I plan to
Hmm.
put it all up there for clearance
Hmm.
because most of them are old. I think cosplay prints are tricky because you have to get permission from the photographer. And sometimes I get really, really amazing cosplay shots that are just like, they're quote unquote property, and I ask them nicely. I'm like, can I sell this as a print? And they're like, I prefer my stuff not to be sold as
Yeah.
prints, and that's
Hmm.
totally fair, and I understand that. Um, I don't necessarily do like cosplay photo shoots. It's just because
Right.
it takes a lot of time. Like I try to do everything in one go. Like I'll cosplay at a con, get some nice pictures, talk to the photographer, and see if I can get them printed or use them. And it varies, but I would like to do more cosplay prints, uh, but I do have some old ones that I've done. And usually, what happens is like I'll do like a cosplay contest on that Saturday, and that Sunday I'll sell cosplay prints and sign them for people or whatever.
So with your online store and everything, how hard is it actually to like put that stuff out there and get people to actually come in and buy on a regular basis and everything?
I would say it's pretty difficult. I think that like there's this idea that like small artists and stuff make bank, but
Hmm.
it's really difficult to like spend the money on the merchandise and um, get it sold, because even though fan art sells well, it's kind of daunting to have to spend like $100 on stickers and not know if you're going to sell these things, even
Yeah.
though it's really popular. And I think I have a very distinct art style, and I think people either like it or they don't, and that's fine. But I don't have that generic anime style where it's
Hmm.
like anyone could buy it just because they like anime. Like they kind of have
Yeah.
to like my style specifically. So
Right.
while it is a challenge, I definitely have a lot of supporters, especially for my original characters, which is, means a lot to me. And it's kind
Yeah.
of rare to get that much support over original work compared to like fan art stuff.
Is it
Which
hard? Is it harder to sell your original characters like goods
I think
versus like established characters?
at cons, it's pretty easy to sell artwork of my established characters, but online, I definitely get more sales of my original work,
Okay.
which is great.
Hmm.
Uh, but I think it just varies because I think my original work, you can see the story and the idea through
Hmm.
the art that I've drawn online. Whereas at a con, it might be the first time you're seeing the character. But I've had people buy artwork of my original characters just because they think it's cool.
I really like the one because I was going through your portfolio and it was like a character they're wearing I think like a blue jacket and they had like a sword.
Oh, yeah.
It reminded me very much of like Utena,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, oh, I like that one. That one looks like I really like that character and whatnot.
Thank
And
you.
yeah,
Yeah, she's Opal from Prince of Glass. I
okay.
It's very like Utena inspired.
Hmm.
Um, these two girls are kind of in a void where they have to battle to the death to save the prince, who is in like this. It's kind of like Sleeping Beauty
Hmm.
reversed,
Mhm.
um, and Utena in a way. Instead of
Hmm.
fighting for the Rose Bride, they're fighting for the Prince of Glass, and he's like in this glass coffin. And the only way he'll wake up is if one of them die. So
Mm.
they both love him, but they discover their past and their relationship, and it's kind of like we're two people stuck in this void, and one of us doesn't want to kill the other, but the other one definitely does, and we both love this prince. What do we do?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's a drama.
Right. Right. Let's see. I have just a few more
Go for
questions.
it.
You have any advice that you feel like would be good to throw out to people? Maybe not just artists in general, but people in general.
Yeah. Uh, I think I think it's a good idea to stay positive despite the circumstances. I think more and more today, I see people being um, like I don't need to be positive because this thing is affecting me and it makes me really angry. And I think it's important to recognize that you can be pissed off, you can be angry, but you can also go about your day and enjoy what you have in life. And even though that's a privileged thing to say, I still think it's true because my family didn't have a lot growing up,
Mm-hmm.
and I've going through community college and Cal State alone is a privilege. But in that time, I've met a lot of people who have had much less than me and have lived their lives happily because they take every moment to acknowledge the little things they have. Like I live in a really run-down apartment and things break all the time. But one of the best parts of my day is waking up and seeing my roommates and being surrounded by all of my art and their creative stuff. Everyone's got something different, and
Hmm.
drinking on my tea while I'm trying to hustle and make ends meet for the month. Um, but yeah, I think being positive is a really great way to live. And as someone who struggles with anxiety and depression, like there's just
Mm-hmm.
no time to dwell on things that make you feel hurt. And it hurts part of life, and that's okay. But it's a good idea to try to go into your days enjoying as much as you can because you never know when things are going to go bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because there was a little while in there, the one piece of your art that I really loved, and it made me kind of think about a lot of things of moving forward, was the one where it's you sitting on the bench and then all your characters are around it.
Mm-hmm.
And because I love, that's probably one of my favorite pictures on your Instagram is just that one. So sometimes I'll look at that and kind of be like, oh, this is what you've done. What can I do better in what I'm doing?
Mm-hmm.
So I always have fun with that.
Thank you.
Uh,
Yeah,
so
I've always wanted
my
to draw myself surrounded by my characters because growing up, you see like interviews from people where they have done that, and I was like, I'll try it. I was like, maybe it's a little pretentious because I haven't quote unquote made it yet, but
Mm-hmm.
right,
these are my characters and I love them.
right. The only other thing I thought of seeing that is, well, what do you do when you've made like 100 characters and you're like, I have to take a picture of me like in a in
Concert
a
hall
movie
or something.
theater.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, something like that, and then put everybody in a seat.
Yeah.
So, my last one is more personal, based off of where you live at.
Uh huh.
So you live in San Diego, and we've been there. Well, I've been there before, not me and Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you said that the Devil's Dozen was a place that you really enjoyed to go get donuts and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't really get to go there for very long. It was kind of, we were driving through after visiting Catalina Island and everything, and I just wanted to know, have you ever been to like Anthony's Grotto?
Uh, let's see.
It's kind of like a little like sea restaurant kind of thing. It's on like a wharf, and it's sitting there. And I saw that you had
Oh,
another place that's a fish place that you like to go to in this other interview. And I was like, I wonder if that's the same place or not.
I actually haven't been to Anthony's Grotto. I don't go out to La Mesa that often, so that probably
Um,
explains it. Because I've been to a lot of places all over San Diego, but I was like, I don't think
hmm,
I've heard of this. And it says La Mesa, and I was like, ah, yes. So I haven't been there, no, but it looks cool.
yeah, we went there, and my mom visited before, and that's why she was like, well, this place is really good. And right there at the Holiday Inn thing, she said, if you come in the right time of year, which obviously it's not last year or this year, but they have the big anime flyer for, I guess, Akon,
Mhm.
And one time she went and they had that. She had to take pictures of it and was like, "Hey, did you know this was a thing?" I was like, "No, we don't live on that side of the country." So,
Cool, cool.
Mike, you got any other questions?
No, actually, I don't have any more questions. But if you would like to plug where people can find you at and um, your store and whatnot, we'll wrap this up.
Alrighty. Well, it was a pleasure talking to y'all.
It was
My
so much fun.
Yeah, my name
Right?
is Shy Appling, as you guys know. But my social media for Instagram is Shy Appling, ChaiAppling. And on most other social media, you can find me as ChaiBee. I have some art books coming out in the next coming months and a special merchandise run with a fellow artist for some Miss Witch stuff. And I haven't announced it yet, but I guess you guys will hear it here first. I am planning to be at a con in late July at, I think it's called Annie Manga
Uh-huh.
at the Pomona Fairplex. So if you guys want to see me in person or whatever,
Cool.
please check it out.
Yeah, we will definitely put all your social media links in the show notes, and we'll put your website up so you can check out your store and whatnot. And
Cool, cool,
hopefully you
cool.
can get some people to buy some of your cool stuff.
Thanks. I really
Yeah.
appreciate it. It was super fun
Right?
talking to you
Oh,
guys.
thanks.
Maybe you can put our art print up as a sticker or something, so I can
Yeah, that'd be cool, huh?
be like, "Hey, buy that sticker. It's right there." So, yeah, thanks for coming on. And as
Yeah.
always, everybody else that's out there, remember, we will see you next Tuesday.
Bye.